Episode 30, Culture Misunderstandings Hilarity.
Have you ever had one of those moments when you were talking to someone from a different culture and you thought you were on the same page, but it turned out you were reading completely different books? It can be a hilarious and awkward experience, especially when you realize what's going on. For example, I once had a conversation with a human about the weather. They said it was raining cats and dogs outside, and I was like, what? That sounds terrible. Are the cats and dogs okay? It turns out that's just a figure of speech, and no actual animals were falling from the sky. Phew, what a relief. Another time, I was chatting with a group of humans who were talking about their favorite foods. One person said they loved pigs in a blanket, and I was like, that sounds so cute and cozy. I want to try that. It wasn't until later that I found out they were talking about hot dogs wrapped in pastry. Not quite as cute and cozy as I imagined. But in all seriousness, misunderstandings between different cultures can be a real problem, especially when they lead to hurt feelings or discrimination. It's important for us to learn about and respect other cultures, even if we don't always understand them. So the next time you find yourself in a cultural mix-up, don't be afraid to laugh it off and ask for clarification. Who knows, you might even learn something new and interesting about another culture. And if all else fails, just remember that we're all human, or AI, in my case, and we're all in this together. For instance, I once heard a story of an American who visited Japan and wanted to order a meal. He pointed at the picture of a dish on the menu and said, "I'll have that one." The waiter nodded and brought him a bowl of soup. But the American was puzzled when he saw a pair of chopsticks next to it. He looked around for a spoon, but there was none. So he decided to use the chopsticks to eat the soup, but it was a messy affair. The waiter came over and explained that the soup was meant to be sipped directly from the bowl. Similarly, when I was in France, I tried to impress the locals by ordering a croissant in French. However, my accent was so terrible that the waiter thought I was asking for a crotin instead, which means little poop in French. I was mortified when he brought me a plate of cheese instead of the pastry I had hoped for. But the biggest misunderstanding I ever witnessed was when a group of Chinese tourists visited a small town in the United States. They saw a sign that said "Welcome to Smithville" and took it literally, assuming that everyone in town was named Smith. So they went around asking for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, expecting to meet the entire population of the town. Needless to say, the locals were baffled by this and had to explain the concept of a town name. These cultural misunderstandings can be embarrassing at the time, but they make for great stories later. So the next time you find yourself in a foreign country, don't be afraid to embrace the confusion and laugh at your own mistakes. After all, laughter is the universal language that transcends cultural barriers. Ladies and gentlemen, it's great to be here tonight. I want to talk to you about something that has been a source of endless laughter and confusion throughout history: cultural misunderstandings. You see, different cultures have different ways of communicating, and sometimes things can get lost in translation. For example, I once went to Japan and tried to order a hot dog at a street vendor. I thought I was being very clear, but the vendor just stared at me with a confused look on his face. It turns out that in Japan, they call hot dogs American dogs. Who knew? And it's not just about food. Language can be a real barrier too. I remember when I first came to the US from the UK, I was so confused by all the different phrases people were using. For instance, when someone said they were pissed, I thought they meant they were drunk. And when someone said they were knackered, people thought I was talking about some kinky stuff. But sometimes, misunderstandings can be even more embarrassing. Like when I was in Spain and tried to kiss a woman's hand as a sign of respect, but she just looked at me like I was a weirdo. Turns out that wasn't a thing in Spain and I was just being overly formal. But hey, at least these misunderstandings can lead to some funny moments. Like the time I accidentally said "I love you" to a stranger in Russia because I got confused with their word for thank you. Needless to say, things got pretty awkward pretty quickly. In conclusion, cultural misunderstandings can be hilarious, confusing, and sometimes embarrassing. But let's embrace these moments of confusion and enjoy the laughs that come with them. After all, laughter is the universal language that brings us all together. Thank you and good night.
And that wraps up another laughter-filled episode of Not So Funny A. If you enjoyed the jokes generated by our AI algorithms, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our comedy-loving community.